Now, my name is Jose. I'm one of the trainers here at Motility Software. And what we'll be covering in today's webinar, now we're going to have a series of webinars available for you to join here throughout the next couple of days and weeks. What you can do is, if you have any questions after, you can email training@motilitysoftware.com, or you can strike F1 from your keyboard within the software at any moment, and that will email our support team directly, and they'd be happy to help you out with any questions you have after the webinar, or any follow-up questions that maybe you can't think of at the moment. What we're going to be covering in today's webinar is mainly concentrated in the lead rotation and its features, and also the Infinity Mobile version of the CRM for the sales staff that they can use, on a tablet or personal cell phone device. So we'll be highlighting features in there. If you have any questions, just type them into the chat. I'll review them when I stop for questions. This webinar should take minimum at least 30 minutes, and also depending on questions, obviously, it may take a little bit longer or not. So I'm going to go ahead and begin. And the first thing we're going to cover in today's webinar is the lead rotation. Now, in the Infinity or Motility software, we offer the capability of being able to set up rotation list. I'm getting someone saying they cannot hear me. Give me 1 second to see if I can figure them out. For Joel that's typing in, you should be able to hear me through either computer audio or dial into the number. If you're having any audio issues through the computer, you can dial into the meeting number, and you would be able to hear me through there as well. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. When we open up the CRM, there's a setup involved as far as using the rotation list, and we're going to cover that, and then we're going to cover the features that what you can use within that rotation list. Okay, so to see here, whenever you have a customer open, or you're inputting data for a new customer, or if you want to begin using this and see how it works, today's session, it may be, again, I'd have to confirm, but the schedule I received is lead rotation, and it is the CRM, but it is the CRM Mobile, on the mobile version of the CRM. That's what we'll be covering as far as the CRM goes, Joel. All right. So we'll go ahead and continue. On the rotation list within the CRM, what you can do is, when you click on the rotation number under the lead information tab for the customer, it pops up a little setup screen here, or a screen where you can select the multiple types of rotations you have set up in the system. And this is mainly to keep track of who's next up, who's the next man up to get a lead that came into the system. Now, the advantage of this is you can set up different rotation lists. So you can have, for an example, phone ups. You can have emails, if web leads, phone leads, walk-in leads. However you prefer to set up your rotation list, or you can have just one general list. It doesn't matter the type of lead, how it comes in. You can set that up in the system. And in here, you can see, for an example, once I click on my rotation list, it'll give me my list of different types of rotations that I have available. So I'm just going to pick this, the manufacturer lead that I have set up. And then you're going to see your sales staff in here. Okay, when you set up the rotation list, which we're going to cover here in a bit, you'll be able to select any salesperson that's checked off as a salesperson in the system. All right, and you'll be able to add, who you want on this particular type of rotation list that you want to implement in the system. All right, but what you'll see here is you'll see the employees you're available to select on the type of rotation that you selected. The yellow bar here that you see is next man up. So anytime you see a yellow bar, that's the next person available to be selected. on there. Looks like somebody's having audio issues. If you can confirm, if somebody can type in the chat if they don't have a mic that they can hear me fine, just want to confirm, and that way I can put into the chat. Okay. All right, perfect. Thank you. Let me just send this participant the information to dial into the meeting. Okay. All right, and we'll go ahead and continue. See if he gets his audio resolved. He'll have to dial in on there. Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and continue. Just apologize about that. So again, the yellow bar is significance the next man up. That'll give you the option to select that. Now, that doesn't mean you have to select them. That's just highlighting that they're available, and that's the next one available. That's supposed to be selected on the rotation list you have available. Okay. Now, obviously, this is pre-populated already because we have this as our demo system, so you see a list that's in there already. So the setup for this is quite simple. If I go into my edit menu, you'll have a listing here of everything, and you're going to select the lead rotations option, which is always going to be the third one from the bottom of your edit menu. So again, from any portion of the CRM, you go into the edit, okay, and you would select lead rotations. And you're going to get the pop-up box here to set up your lead rotation type. Now from here, if you select the new option, it is going to open up a completely blank rotation, and it will let you add it and label it as needed. Okay, that will let you add them as you need. The good thing about this is you can actually select, even if you want it location specific. So for the dealers that we have that have multiple locations, and you do not want them to the list that you want it specific for one location, you can go ahead and set that up as well. All right, so if I hit add new here, you can see it gives me the option to label the rotation name, and it also gives me the option to select what location I want. So in the drop down here, you'll be able to select a specific location, or the default is 0 where it would be available for all locations. All right. And then from there, again, like I said, if they are marked off as a salesperson in the system, they're going to be available for you to select their name. So we'll select Mr. Lavores here, and we'll continue to add on the type of on our new lead rotation list here. Okay. And again, once you have your information filled in, you hit the save button, and now that lead rotation list will be available. Now, it is important that you select at least one from the company dropdown, because it will not show up. It doesn't know which one you want it to. So we want to default it to 0. And then from there, if we want to specify it for location, we can do that as well. Okay. Now, if I wanted to work on a lead rotation I already had, you see the very top portion here gives me a recall option. I can select then from the lead rotations that I already have in the system set up. So I'm going to select that manufacturer lead, and you can see here I can change names if I needed to. I can highlight their name and hit delete on my keyboard and remove them from my list if I needed to, and I can add to that list as well. Okay, so you can always modify a current one in case you need to make any changes or add to that list as well. But there is no limit as far as how many you can add. This is just dealer preference. You can have one general overall list, or you can have individual lists for the types of leads that you get, or by sales groups. Again, completely customizable as far as how you implement the lead rotations in the system. Okay. Now, Let me go ahead and, we had some participants join and they had their mic on, so I go ahead and mute them. Apologize about that. So again, when we're in the rotation list, you can see when you're in here, you can select which rotation list you want, again, to cover kind of what we went over earlier. The yellow signifies who's next on the rotation list. That does not mean you have to select them. You can select the employee, and what it does is exactly how it's labeled. It's a rotation, so it drops their name to the bottom of the list. Okay, so yellow's next man up, so Mr. Dankenbring here would be the next salesperson I would select. But again, you may not be able to get a hold of them for some reason, and you want this lead to be distributed, so then we'll jump down to Mr. Jose, and so on and so forth. So again, that's why we have the option to still select any salesperson. Now, with that, for your sales staff, I know that, give me 1 second. I have another person that needs to call in, so I'm going to give them the information for the meeting. Apologize about that. Let me send this information out and we'll continue in 2 minutes here. And anyone that needs the phone audio, I just put it in the chat, so you can go ahead and dial into that number and put in the meeting ID and participant ID on that. Okay. Now, for our sales staff, they may be working with a customer, so they'll be out in the lot for a while. This is available from any part of the system, mainly from the CRM, because that's where they'll probably be working at. But there is a do not disturb option, okay? And what that'll do is, when you click on the do not disturb option here, it gives you the option to select do not disturb, and it can even tell you which ones you want to opt out of. So you see here, Jose Montero, I'm logged in as me. I want to choose to opt out of these 2 rotation lists, and then when I hit the save button, what's going to happen is it's going to drop me from that rotation list. Now, so I'm not visible, but that does not lose your place in the line. So if you were the next man up and you are not available for a while, you can go ahead and put yourself in do not disturb, and what that will do is it'll drop you from the list, but the moment you go ahead and put yourself as available here, I would click on available, it will go ahead and add you back to that list at your current spot. So if somebody's moved up since then, you're moving up with them. You're not going to drop your spot in the rotation list for that, okay? And anyone that's joining us late, these webinars are being recorded. You can just email training@Motility Software. Again, training@Motility Software, and request the audio recording or the meeting recording as well. So again, if anyone has missed the beginning of the portion, just email training, or even you can email support and request a recording of the meeting. And we can go ahead and email you that recording, and then you can listen to it as well. Or if there's something you want to, even if you have questions and you want to listen to it again, just go ahead and request it, and we can email that meeting recording to you guys. All right. Before I continue, just anyone that's been on the session so far, if they have any questions on the lead rotation or anything they want to ask at this time about lead rotations. You can go ahead and type them in the chat. We have the mics turned or muted on our side by default, just because there's so many participants and the feedback gets kind of hectic. So again, just always type into the chat if you have a question, and we can go ahead and answer it as we go. The next portion we're going to cover is going to be the CRM Mobile and the benefits and features of using that versus our standard desktop version that most salespeople that have been using the system are accustomed to. Infinity Mobile is something newer that we've been implementing to our dealerships. It's an add-on package you can add to what you're currently using on the system. And what essentially is, it gives the user access via a phone or tablet. The two types of operating systems that support Infinity Mobile are Android and Apple Safari or Apple devices. And the two web browsers have to be either the Safari via Apple, or you can also use Chrome. And Chrome is available both through Apple and Android devices. On there. So those are the two types of devices and web browsers that Infinity Mobile supports. Okay, and we'll go ahead and show you here the mobile version of Infinity. And what we're going to be covering is the CRM. Okay. Now within the CRM, it is a web link. It is not an app. It's an actual link that you can log into. So this is even available through a desktop if needed. You can be on the go. As long as you have internet service, you would have the capability of viewing this at any time. Okay. All right. So once I log in, what you're going to see on this screen is some tiles, and the top portion is the CRM contact management. Okay. Now, if you've been using our software, you know we offer hot contacts, need to contacts, new contacts that are assigned to you on there. There is no notification feature in this, but it does put in the tiles how many you have of each. So when you log in and your tile is blank, that means you don't have a need to contact. You don't have a hot contact set in here. Essentially, everything you can do as far as lead information and contact management through the desktop version can be handled through Infinity Mobile. And also another capability that Infinity Mobile offers for your sales staff is unit inventory search. Now, you can't make any changes to unit inventory or modifications. It's read only. But while you're out in the lot, customer calls up and says, hey, or is out in the lot and says they want to know information on this unit, you have the capability through mobile to pull it up and add and give them that information correctly versus our standard, old school sheet of paper or inventory sheet we like to carry around. So you do have the capability of pulling up any item in your inventory through mobile. All right. Now, as far as contact management goes, again, we want to update our customers as quickly and as efficiently as possible in order to keep track of everything we're working with them. So that's what the huge benefit is via Infinity Mobile. You're out with the customer, you're talking to them, they call you on your phone and give you some information, or you try to get a hold of them. You don't have to go back to your computer or your desk to log in to update the information. As if you're connected with Infinity Mobile, I can pull that up through my phone, update my customer, and then go on through with my day as needed. So for an example here, the first option is I can search my contacts. So if I click on search contacts, I can use my same filter I would use on the desktop version. We'll type in last name, and I'll type in a last name here, and then I get my search results, okay, from here. And so I can go ahead and click on my customer. You also have the option to message and call the customer directly. Now, this has to be, for the call feature, it has to be on a cellular device, but it will use your number and it'll pick up your number to call that customer. It's using your phone's phone app to call that customer, but you can do it directly from here. You don't have to copy and paste the number or anything. You can just hit the phone icon and it will call them directly. Same option with the messaging. It will pick up your messaging app and send that customer a message if you wanted to get a hold of them for some reason. But when I open up my first customer here, we're going to pull up Adriel Montero. You can see, if you're familiar with the desktop version, you can edit majority of the same information. You can update contact information. You can update their advertising lead. So we'll put that they heard about us on a billboard. lead type they drove in. So again, and I can mark them as a hot customer, and I can even set my callback date in here if I needed to. So again, you're updating the customer's information on the go, live at any moment. Okay. From here, you can also we're going to save our changes, which anytime you make a change to a customer's profile, it is going to ask you for a save. Okay. And you can see here, there's a lot of tabs you're accustomed to seeing on the desktop version. For example, the vehicles, and you have the same capability. If you need to add a vehicle that they're offering on the trade, we can go ahead and add that on the go through mobile. We can list out what vehicles they currently have. If they're not a previous customer that bought the unit from us, we can also view the units that they've bought from us through the vehicle tab if they're a previous customer. All right. So you can see, just like our desktop version, it's very similar as far as what you can put in. It's just in a quick, easy, accessible format for us to do on the go anywhere we have internet connection, basically. Right? So we'll go back to our home here. In my hot contact. So any customer I personally have marked as a hot contact is going to show up in my hot contacts tile. And then from here, again, obviously, I can manage those contacts as I need. So we'll click on Adriel, which is the one we just marked as a hot contact. I can come in here, pull up my profile, change their temperature if I needed to at that time, and then go from there. Or I can just leave the temperature and update it as the change is needed. So again, it's a way. The purpose of the hot contact list is to give us access to customers we want to deal with more frequently, or we need to see them quicker for us to work with them. That's the purpose of marking them as a hot contact. That will show up in our hot contact list as long as we log into mobile. Now the red icon indicates how many you have on the list. So again, if you log in and it's a blank, that's okay. That doesn't mean it. That just means you currently do not have any that are marked as a hot contact on your list. Okay. Now another feature is the Task Command Center. So Infinity or Motility Software offers the capability of setting up tasks for sales staff or for employees at the dealership, depending on their roles, to have to, for an example, if we want a 48-hour follow-up once the unit's been sold, we can set up an auto-generated task. So if that task is assigned to you as a salesperson and you log in, that task will be here for you to update, and that way it's a reminder as far as what tasks you have to accomplish and get those done. And the reason these are in red is because they're a little past due of what their original task date was assigned to. So again, something you can keep track of, or at least know that that feature is available. And if that's something you want to implement down the road, we can also set that up. And through the mobile, we'll be able to mark our task and put in our information for that task that was assigned to us. Right. And so again, we can manage our contacts through the Infinity Mobile feature as far as anything that has to do with our contact. We can add new customers, update customers, view our inventory, but there's also a couple of tools you can use as well through the Infinity Mobile. You have the capability of clocking in and out on the time clock that's tied to Motility Software. Now, on top of that, just so this information is known, Infinity Mobile does do geo-mapping. So based on the address of the dealership, there is permission where we set up where they have to be within a certain radius of the dealership's address through geo-mapping for them to be able to clock in. So we don't have to worry about employees clocking in from home or anything like that. Infinity Mobile does use geo-mapping in order for them to clock in and out when they're close to the dealership. Okay, so it's the same Infinity time clock on here. But one of the things you can do from here is going back to our rotation list is from mobile, you can set yourself as do not disturb. So you can see in here, I can actually turn this on. And then from there, you see the rotation lists I am opting out of. And then from there, I can choose which ones I do and do not want to opt out of if I have to. But again, this puts me automatically in the do not disturb mode from my rotation list. And again, that does not lose my place. What will happen is as people are moved up, you're moving up with them. It just drops it from the list temporarily. But once you opt back in or set yourself to available, which you can just simply untoggle, it's going to put you to your corresponding part at our spot on the rotation list, all right? But it is available through mobile as well, all right? And that has become popular to do through the mobile, being as you can do this on the go or, you know, essentially anywhere you have internet access from. All right. And a couple of other features that this offers is a little Salesperson Dashboard where you can kind of see your numbers and set goals for yourself for a time period. So based on the date, it says total leads this month. So how many leads have been assigned to you? Currently, I have 3. How many of those leads have been added to a quote? All right. How many of those quotes have been closed to a deal? And then it'll give you a closing ratio. So you'll be able to see productivity as far as how many leads you started with, how many went from a lead to added to a quote, and then how many of those deals or quotes were actually closed. You'd be able to see your closing ratio from here as well. Obviously, it gives us a total hot leads, that number 37. You can even set your sales goal. If you want to sell X amount of dollars the month, you can come in here and set that. It'll show you how much you have in current sales and your percentage. And it'll show you a previous month so you can have an idea of where you were at previously and where you want to go as far as your sales numbers for that current month you're working on right now. Okay. Okay. And we also offer a quick little payment calculator through the mobile where you can put the amount financed so you can give the customer roughly an idea of what they're looking for as far as payment-wise. You can put in the finance amount, the interest rate, and the terms of that loan and kind of give them an idea roughly of what they're going to offer. Just so everybody on the line, again, we've had some people join us late. If you want to request a copy or a recording of this webinar, you can email training@motilitysoftware.com, or you can strike F1 on your keyboard within the software and just simply request support, and they'll forward it to us so that way you can get a recording of the session today. And that will be available for all webinars we're offering in the time period. So again, if you're joining us late, it's okay. We are recording this and we can forward it to you as needed or requested. Okay. So, like I previously stated, the purpose of these webinars are to kind of show features and options you have within the software. We're breaking down small portions of the software to show and demonstrate. If you have any questions, I'd like to leave it open. You can type them in the chat. I'm going to unmute the participants if they want to ask it via the audio as well. If not, please feel free to exit the meeting, but I'll leave it open for any questions you'd like. And again, please feel free to ask for a recording of this webinar. We'd be more than happy to provide that for you guys. And again, I want to thank everyone for taking time to join us on the webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free. Looking for help on searching a lead by unit type. Okay. Now through the mobile, you won't be able to do that type of specific search. On the desktop, yes, we can. Let me switch over to that. Okay. On the desktop version, what you can do is once you have the CRM open, all right, now in the entity themselves, there is a unit preferences tab, okay, and this is what the customer is looking for, basically. You can put as much detail as you want in this, or as little. You can see here we have multiple unit preferences by selecting the Add Prospect Preference box. And what this will do is, essentially from here, what you can do is when you're in the advanced box, okay, once that's filled out on the entity and you get a fresh batch of units that come in, and you know, you're like, I remember there was a customer looking for that. Once you click on the advanced search under this unit preferences tab, okay, you can fill out the information here. You can do from year to year, make, model, body style. As long as that information was originally filled out under the customer's unit preferences, what's going to happen is once you fill in this information here, you can hit OK, and it's going to pull up every customer that has a unit preference that matches what you just put in those boxes on there. Okay. So again, that's how you can pull up customers by unit type or description, as far as generally finding customers that are looking for a particular type of unit. But it is very important to fill that out under the unit preferences tab once they come in and they're describing to us what they're looking for. So that way, anytime we want to feel like looking for customers looking for, again, we get units in. We get a couple units delivered on there. And if you wanted to find them by last contacted date, what you can do is right here under the personnel tab, there is beginning contact date and ending contact date. You can put a date range in there. The system, anytime you work with a customer in their profiles, is going to say the last time you worked with them. And that's how you can really pull them up by last contacted date, a search. So obviously, if you're looking for yours in particular, you would look for yourself as a salesperson, and you would put in a date range from beginning to ending contacting date, and that would pull up any customers within that date range. That's going to be the option as far as based on contact date. All right. Joel, did that answer your question?
I didn't know if there's any more particular information, but that, you know, those are things I'm already doing, but thank you.
Okay, yeah, no, perfect. That's what we wanted to make sure.
All right, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, does anyone else have any other questions? All right, so I'll go ahead and end the meeting. I want to thank everyone again for taking their time and joining us. And again, please, if you want to get a recording of this webinar or any future webinars that you're not able to attend, maybe because of timing, just email training@motilitysoftware.com or support@motilitysoftware.com, and we'd be happy to forward those recordings to you guys. Again, everyone have a safe and happy holidays. Thank you and goodbye.